Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello.
We are going live here with Crowdcast and with our ProCare Health Facebook page. So we want to welcome everybody. We'll give everybody a kind of a moment. If you're joining us from either forum, please say hi. Let us
Yes.
know that you're here with us and where you're from. Looks like we have several people, so we're going to give them an opportunity. And we have today, I'm so excited. We have Rachael Blanton here with us. She's from our area, like the area that I live in. I'm
Yeah.
from around the St. Louis area, Missouri, and Rachael is as well. We kind of met Rachael. It's probably been what, a couple months ago now?
Yeah. Yeah. I think right around 2 months, maybe. I mean,
Right
I've
around
known
2 months.
y'all a long time, but y'all just finally know me.
We're just happy to have here. It looks like we have Erica joining us, GC, which is Gwen.
Yes.
Gwen's from Florida. Ellie, she said, "Love you, Rachael. You're a rock star. Love all my ProCare products." Oh, that's wonderful. Um, and I am going to just basically log on to our ProCare page and just see where we're at with that. So we're going to get started. So basically, Rachael, I'm gonna just let open up the floor to you and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you chose this topic today.
All right. So I'm Rachel. And like Brenda said, I live in the St. Louis area. I actually had Roux-en-Y gastric bypass just over a year ago. I had it on November 10th of 2020. You know, my whole program was through COVID, so that was really interesting. Um, but man, I love this community. I am just passionate about people being able to find health in whatever way possible. And I have been using ProCare products from day one and love them. And so I just reached out to you guys and I said, hey, let's be friends. But I had surgery, like I said, November 10th. My highest weight was nearly 400 pounds. I was tipping the scale at almost 400 pounds. And as of this week, I am down 150 pounds and I could not be happier. So I am just really passionate about encouraging others that have been through this process and who are thinking about going through this process. And I just wanted to encourage some other folks that maybe just find it hard to get through some of the things that we face on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And our topic today is fighting failures, finding freedom.
Yes.
What what inspired you to talk about that? Because I think what you're going to be talking about is something that everybody out there could benefit from. Like
Yes.
to
Um,
that deep dive inside yourself to be able to keep going on regardless,
yes.
you know.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're in any part of the bariatric community online, if you have any kind of presence on Instagram, um, then you know there's a huge community out there. It's a wonderful community. And I have been lucky enough to be able to connect with some great people and have a couple really close friends, a very bestie that we like to call each other. And when we get into conversations and realize we're facing the same mental struggles, the mental struggles are harder than any of it. Um, but when we get into conversations and start talking through some things, I'm like, why doesn't anybody talk about this? Why doesn't anybody talk about this? You know? So it kind of started to spark some thoughts in my mind. Like we would have a conversation, um, and one of us might say, well, I really fouled up today. I failed today. I stunk today because I ate a cookie or I had ice cream, or when we went out to dinner tonight, I had a deep fried appetizer, one of that and one of, whatever. And
Hmm.
there was a day that my very bestie, that she and I were talking, and I said, okay, but think about what you would have done a year ago. Think
Mm-hmm.
about if you went to dinner a year ago, how that would have looked versus how today looked. Even if I had a cookie today, okay, guess what? I had a cookie, and let's move on. So it has been just kind of a culmination of conversations that I've had with her, with other people. And instead of focusing on all of the negative things and all of the things that we do wrong, it's like, how do we overcome that? How do we find freedom in this so-called failure? And what is a failure? So that's kind of where my whole process even came from, was just the experiences that we were having together.
And it looks like there's a couple people that says, Wahoo, hello, hello, congrats. And then on our Facebook page, it looks like we have somebody that says, congratulations too. And Rhonda says, yep, a lot of emotional eating lately, renaming.
Yes,
So
girl.
it is, and I think too, finding
Yes.
peace in your journey, regardless of what you do and where you are, and learning from that and just moving forward as opposed to kind of getting
Yes.
stuck and getting,
Yes.
because I kind of think that's why part of why we gain weight. You know, it's
Yeah.
because we have um, we have this comparison and um, maybe with other people, with like you talked about Instagram
Yes.
versus reality.
Yes.
And I've had friends on social media before their life looks 100% perfect, and deep down below they're suffering.
Yes.
They have issues going on, and it's just amazing that it's kind of like a front almost sometimes, you
Yes.
know, what we see. And sometimes we relate that to ourselves and we think, man, I should be doing more. You know, I wish I was more perfect, you know, because we can
Yes.
create whatever perfect world on these social media forms. So tell me, like, let's talk about like weight loss, how much you like losing, like how much you lost, like basically
Yeah.
altogether, and where you're at with that, and then kind of move on to like triggers.
Okay.
Let's talk about those things.
Okay. So this week I hit 150 pounds down, and I am 13 months and 5 days post op. So I am thrilled to death with those numbers. I still have a little ways to go. And I think that here's where I could start right now. Here's where this is exactly why this is the topic I'm going to talk about. Because here's where I could start and say, I still have a ways to go. Hi, I just said I lost 150 pounds. Like, what is wrong with me to be like, I still have a ways to go? Like, what in our brain causes that? So, and that's where the Instagram stuff happens, that Instagram versus reality, the filters. If y'all ever see me on Instagram, I do not use those filters. If I do, I'm going to call it out as soon as I use it and say, this is why, but I don't use the filters. I am trying to be authentic out there and let people know the good, the bad, and the ugly. And without filters, sometimes that's what it is the ugly.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm down 150 pounds, and I feel like I have my life back. I feel like I have a second chance at life. I feel like God has just given me the direction and the will to just move forward and to embrace this journey, even the hard days.
Hmm.
And man, yeah, 150 pounds in 13 months. I can't even believe it. So um, I'm
And it
hoping,
sounds like you're still losing because you just
yes,
said I just got on the scale, because some people, you know, some people right around that 6 month to year mark will kind of start having
yeah,
some stalls, which everybody's different, you know, not everybody, but I can say by you saying this and you talking about it, it lets people know it's possible. It's
yes,
possible to continue losing. I mean, for me,
yes,
whenever I had weight loss surgery, my first year probably had the most weight loss, but that second year I lost another 15 pounds. So you can
yes.
do it. You
Yeah,
can do it.
I hit the first year mark, and I was down 66% of my excess weight amount. You know, and the numbers, the statistics are all with Roux-en-Y, you should lose 80-85% of your excess weight. And I was at
Mm-hmm.
66%. And, some people, I see that they're a size 4 after the first year. And I'm like, girl, I just got into a pair of 14s and I am celebrating every second of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that you have to remember. Not every journey is the same. Not every body is the same. I started out at almost 400 pounds. I'm 5'10", nearly 5'11" on a good day. Like I am a tall female and I started out at almost 400 pounds. So somebody that is 5'3" that started out at 280, we may have been wearing the same size pants at our start weight, but 100 pounds on her and 100 pounds on me looks very different. And so
And
it's hard.
it's almost like, so Rachel, just kind of going back to that, because I feel like that is such an important thing, the comparison thing.
Yeah.
The day that I had weight loss surgery, there was a guy that had weight loss surgery the same day, and I was I was at that time I was working for a program as a coordinator. My body mass index was 35, his was 60.
Holy
And at
cow.
our
Yeah.
6 month mark, yeah, at our 6 month mark, I think he had lost 100 pounds. At my 6 month mark, I'd lost 50. At our 1 year, I think I had lost maybe, I think it was close to 80, and I think, or 75, maybe 70, 75, and he had lost 150, kind of like you.
Yeah.
So, if I would have, I mean, I was ecstatic with my weight loss, but if
Yes.
I would have tried to compare myself to him, it would have been, it's just kind of like comparing apples and oranges, because our
Yes.
stories and our
Yes.
journeys were so different.
Yes. And that's the thing that we have to remember is that we are all individually, you know, we are all made differently. Every single one of us, there's not another person on this planet like you.
Hmm.
There's not another person exactly like me. So we are all made and created differently, and our bodies are going to respond differently. And our starting weights were different, our BMIs were different, and it's all going to go differently. So my goal weight, I'd really be happy and hit that 80 to 85% mark. I need to lose another 30-ish pounds. But then my stretch goal, my personal goal, is to get
Hmm.
down to 196 pounds. Because if I hit 196 pounds, one, I make it to Wonderland, which we all know is the dream. Um, but two, I would literally be able to say I'm half the person I used to be. And I'm like, that would be really exciting. So if I don't make it, I don't make it. Like, it's fine. I am not somebody that is like, I have to hit these goals. I have to do this now. Like, I am like, God, thank you for how far you have brought me, and let's keep going. I'm going as long as you're
Yeah.
along. So,
Yeah.
um,
It's hard to force it. You get to a point, and this is talking to um, everybody that's listening out there that maybe this resonates with, but sometimes we think we have a certain amount in mind, but our body may have a different, God
right,
has a different idea, because sometimes you get to a point where it's just like you're hitting up against a black wall, and maybe that's a happy weight for you. You have to kind of look at it like, okay, what is going to make, like, there's nothing that should have to make you happy. You make yourself happy. So like
right,
being a certain way doesn't have to be, it can be
exactly.
a lot of things. So how would you say, like, let's talk about
You
what
want to
would
go
you
to
say about,
triggers?
yeah, talk about that. And I was going to talk about her and I have a little outline, bending the rules, not following your program. Tell us about both
Oh,
those
girl.
things.
Okay, so I just feel like some of the failure things that I find myself thinking from time to time, which it could be anything from like looking in the mirror and being like, "Oh, you look ugly today, you look gross today, whatever." Let's swap that and change that mindset. But using the words like only, I feel like there's a lot of times I see somebody say, "I only lost 0.5 pounds this week," or "I only lost 2 pounds this week," or whatever.
Hmm.
And that's what I was saying a while ago, where I said, I've lost 150 pounds, but I still have a ways to go. That butt was not needed. It wasn't needed. It wasn't needed. So I've lost 150 pounds, period. That's all it has to be. So that was one of the one of the like failure things that I feel like we need to overcome. But triggers. So one of my biggest triggers is if we're sitting at a dinner table, specifically at a restaurant, but even at home, say all the food's on the table, everybody's serving themselves from the table. That is a trigger for me because it's so easy to graze while that is like that. You're sitting there totally satisfied, totally full, and then you're like, oh, but look, I can pick off of that bread right there, which is the last thing that I needed on this table. For example, last night we had people over, we had our small group over, and when they were here, we had appetizers, everybody bought appetizers, there was desserts. And I knew going into last night, you know, I'm going to have what I want to have while it's here. And then everybody's going to take it home and it'll be gone. But I found myself when I went to throw my plate away, like looking at the things on the counter still. And I said to one of my friends, I was like, aren't appetizers the best and the worst? Because I just want to graze, and I don't want to graze on the meatballs that had all the protein in it. And I don't want to graze on the veggies and dip tray. I want more of the chips and salsa or the bruschetta or some cookies, you know? So that's a big trigger for me is having the food out still. One of the things I did personally to solve this is my husband and I set up one of the like meal plan services. So there's Blue Apron, there's HelloFresh, there's Dinnerly. We've kind of tried some different ones to see what we like. But because of that, there's not leftovers sitting on the stove. I eat like a half of a portion and he eats the rest of it, you know? So there's not the leftovers sitting out that makes me want to keep walking through and picking at it and all that kind of stuff. And when we go to restaurants, I just have to ask for a box right away. You have to just change your frame of mind and what little adjustments can we make to make this a success and find that victory, find that freedom instead of focusing on the failure and focusing on putting another bite in our mouths.
Yeah.
And the thing is, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to tell you, there's a lot of comments. I was gonna
yeah,
allow you to interact with these people whenever you got to your point.
Please.
Do you want me to? I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I don't know what, like, do I stare at the video? Do I look over here? Do I look at you? I don't know what to do.
There's so many places. Well, and you'll see my eye contact too. Is like
fine.
I'm also looking at Facebook and looking at the comments. So my gaze kind of changes depending on where I'm at here too.
Yes.
So Katie says, I think there is this drive to hit the doctor's goal, body mass index goals, since we often meet with doctors and they keep telling us to reach that number. That is why sometimes it's hard to celebrate when we have losses. We are trying to lose those last pounds to hit medical goals. So coming from a standpoint, I totally understand that. Coming from a standpoint of working in a bariatric surgery program as a nurse coordinator and then working with the surgeons, we would kind of we felt like we were helping people by trying to give them incentives like what's possible. But again, like if people don't hit that, sometimes they don't feel it's kind of a good bad thing. You know, if people don't hit it, then they sometimes are kind of self-defeating and angry and just thinking, well, I should have done better, which is not like, just like you said, if you lost 150 pounds, you know, that's a lot of weight. That's something. So figuring out how to be happy.
Yes.
Regardless.
Yes. Find your happy. Yes.
Yes. And then do you have something else to say too about that?
That's what I was saying earlier is think about where you were a year ago. Think about where you were 3 years ago, whatever the case may be. So if you're super new into this journey like I am, I just think about, okay, well, I was almost 400 pounds a year ago, and I literally had to step back from things that I loved to do. Like I was serving at church and our nursery. Well, the nursery was downstairs. It was like with our toddler age group. And it was downstairs. And I was to the point that I couldn't do it anymore because I could not take those stairs another day. Or I couldn't hang out in the basement until everybody was gone in another time. Or I couldn't walk around the building to avoid the stairs. There were things like that a year ago, I couldn't do that. So even if I'm not at quote unquote the goal weight or what the doctors think I should hit or what that stinking BMI chart says I should be, which I will never be. And I'm totally fine with that. The fact that I'm even on
Yeah.
the chart these days is thrilling to my life. But, think about where you were a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and the things that your weight was holding you back from
Hmm.
and what you've gained by losing that weight. And that's why my Instagram handle is what it is, losing to gain. I am losing this weight to gain new things in life, new experiences. And so, we can go back to the doctors and the dietitians and ask them for goals. Mine never gave me a goal. They just said, statistics say, and that's what they said. They never gave me a goal. And I'm so grateful for that because I don't feel like I have that harped into my head. So yeah, we just have to celebrate the little things, Katie, and celebrate and remember where we were before and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. And I think that there's some other comments here. Rhonda says, my sister is calling me and giving me food. If you don't want it, I'm throwing it away. And she's talking about birthday cake being thrown away is big or food. And I totally get that because
Yes.
I mean, like it's hard. Lindsay agrees, and so does I guess Katie talks about that too. Rhonda, I think it's one of those things like you just don't want to be wasteful. I think that that's
Yes.
ingrained into our brain, like that little saying, these little Ethiopian kids over in
Oh my
another
word.
country are
Yes.
starving, and like
Yes.
you're not. I mean, how does that even have anything to do about with what you're eating? It doesn't. Like I just feel like you have to figure out what's satisfying for you and then be able to say, I'm okay, I don't need any more. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And what's interesting about that is like, how do we let other outside things impact our lives? If it's something that isn't good for us individually, then we're going to step away from it. We're going to remove it from our lives. Well, then why can't food be the same way? Why do we have to have this guilt with it when we're being wasteful? I think we need to be mindful about our waste. And I think that it's something that we totally have to change our way of thinking, which again is one of the reasons why we're doing a meal planning service, because I was like, we are wasting so much food because I couldn't figure out how to cook for one and a
For two
half people,
people. Yeah.
like, and
Which one did you like the best? I'm curious if you've tried quite a few
oh,
of them.
okay. So I've tried HelloFresh, I've tried Blue Apron, and we've tried Dinnerly. Um, I like Dinnerly's prices the best, but they don't provide as thorough of a. So if you're not great at cooking and you can't just do it without full instructions, Dinnerly is a little more challenging. But I love to cook, so it's been fine. Their price point is the best. But I like HelloFresh a lot, and I really liked Blue Apron. But girl, that Blue Apron is expensive. But
Is it?
they're partnered with, not that any of us need to do this program. Let's just be clear. But Blue Apron is partnered with WW, Weight Watchers, whatever anybody wants to call it these days. So they have some really healthy, like something that is higher protein, and they don't call it keto or anything, which is good. But it's just a well-rounded
Mhm.
meal option also with Blue Apron. I really liked their packaging the best, their shipping. We never had issues. Generally, it's a little tough, but it's a lot more budget friendly. So, but I think that it has helped us waste less food, and it has helped us both be satisfied. It has helped my husband eat a little less on his portion sizes because I made all of it. This is it, buddy. So
Mhm.
I think it's been beneficial for both of us and for our budget and our wastefulness. But
Because you
yeah,
know what, for me, that's one of the hardest things because I have children and I think they moved away. They're all grown and so I was used to cooking for 4 people, and then
Yeah.
I had weight loss surgery, and then you're down. And then when they're gone, I was like, my husband's like, Brenda, you're really going to have to figure this out because we throw so much stuff away. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I know I can't help it. I'm so used to cooking a certain way. So sometimes I'll freeze part
Yeah.
of it, or
Yeah.
that type of thing. And it sounds like a lot of these people here, Rhonda kind of talks about, it's hard when you don't want to be wasteful. Um, she says home chef is good, really good too, which I've never heard of.
Oh yeah. I
Have you
haven't
heard of
done
that?
that one. Mm-mm.
Home chef? And then Kathy says living, as she said, loving sabotage is what people are called, because they have the good intentions. I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, that's like I said
um,
with people coming over yesterday. You know, a lot of times when people come over and they bring stuff, they don't want to take it back home either. And so they start leaving it around. I'm like, nope, here you go. And if you're the last person at my house, then my friend Brittany could attest to this. I'm going to send every single bit of the leftovers home with you. It's just going to happen. And I'll be like, Brittany, you going to take all this? Because if not, it's going in the garbage. So,
oh gosh, it's funny. Well, so I guess the next thing, let's talk about mindset and
okay.
let's talk about kind of out with the old and in with the new,
Yeah.
and talk a little bit about some of these things.
Yeah. So, that's kind of what I was just saying. We have to get rid of the triggers. One of my triggers is cookies, so I do not have cookies in my home. Um, Again, my friend Brittany, I will let her make me cookies, and then I will eat one, but I do not keep them in my home. Um, I have not had an Oreo in like 15 months, and I feel like that is the happiest and saddest thing I've ever said. But but I know there were times like I would sit on the couch with my husband and we'd buy a thing of Oreos and grab ourselves a glass of milk and we both sit there eating and dunking and it's gone. So we don't have Oreos. Um, and again, getting rid of the waste when people bring stuff over, send it home with them. And if they don't want it, they can throw it away and then it's not on your conscience. So,
Well, it's
um,
kind of like if you don't buy it, you don't have it. Like chips
yes,
is mine. Chips, I'll
yes,
be honest.
girl.
Chips is my hardest thing. I just sit and eat endlessly on chips because it's like one of my very favorite things in the whole world.
Yes.
And really, it's kind of like smoking. Years ago, I smoked, and I'm thinking that's how I quit smoking. If you don't have them, you don't
Yeah.
smoke.
Yeah.
You know?
My husband is
Mhm.
getting ready to start the journey of quitting smoking because he is in the program for bariatric surgery. So he has to quit smoking. And so it's the poor guy. He's got a lot to do that I didn't have to worry about because I was a smoker. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, so removing the triggers and the temptations. And oh, there was something else I wanted to touch on that. I'll forget it. It'll come back maybe. We'll see. But yeah, just removing that stuff and moving forward. And another big thing that I think is, are you following your program or are you following the program that, Fancy Pants McGee over there on Instagram is following, that uses all her filters and her hair is always done perfectly and she's got extensions and lashes and all the things that we all think look beautiful and we all, we all are coveting, but is it real? Is it sustainable? So I think that it's important to think about that and to remember your program. So what did your dietitians tell you when you were in your program? Now, some people, I don't remember how long ago. Oh, my friend Brittany's on here, and she said, yes, that definitely happens with a laughing face. When I was talking about, I send her home with all the food. Yes. I'll also make things and be like, I made too much. I'm bringing it down because we're neighbors also. So anyway, so what did your dietitians tell you? And I can't remember how long ago you had bariatric surgery, Brenda. Was it like 8 years?
Yeah.
Okay. So I bet that when you went through your program, it was a lot different than a program today. But for example, my mom had bariatric surgery. She had Roux-en-Y 20 plus years ago,
Mm-hmm.
I think. I think somewhere between 20 and 25. My mom had to eat baby food after surgery.
Oh
Like that's
gosh.
what they told them to eat. And she was never given anything else. Like, and my poor mom has had 8 million iron infusions over the course of her time, all these things that because she's been deficient in vitamins, she's been deficient in calcium, she's been deficient in iron. I finally was like, Mom, you need to try the ProCare products. You've got to do it. So I'm like, you are a bariatric patient the rest of your life, no matter how far post-op you are. So let's try this and see if it works. So she just finally made her first order in the last month. So I'm anxious to see how that does for her. But, you know, she didn't have a program to follow. I have a program to follow. And my program it's specific, but it's not so restrictive. So are you following your program? Here's the basics. Are you getting your protein in? Most people's protein goal is about 80 grams of protein, 70 to 80 grams. So are you getting 70 to 80 grams of protein a day? Are you getting more? That's fine if you're getting more. That's not terrible unless you're getting like 200 grams. Then watch your kidneys. But you know, like
Yeah.
are you hitting your
Mm-hmm.
protein goal? Let's shoot for 80 grams every day. Is that realistic for you? And is that what your clinic or your surgery center told you to do? Maybe it was 60 grams, maybe it's 90 grams. But typically it's about 80 grams. Are you hitting your water goals for the day? I make sure that I have 4 full bottles of water a day. And I know if I have 4 bottles of water, then I've hit my water intake goals. If I go over, great. But I don't like to go under. I will stay up till 11 p.m. if I have to, drinking that last bottle of water, because I'm like, there's a lot of things that happen when I don't hit the water goals, and I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to have that couple days worth of weight gain that you can see. Like there's a lot of things that can happen, and you don't want to get dehydrated. So are you hitting your protein? Are you hitting your water? Are you weighing and measuring as you're building your plate? I think that's huge. And I think that at 13 months post-op, I'm tired of weighing. I'm tired of measuring. I am tired of it. But I'm still only a year post-op. 5 years from now, maybe I'm not going to have to weigh everything anymore. Maybe I will be able to practice mindful and intuitive eating. But right now, it's not that time. And I didn't have surgery to just walk around all willy-nilly and not be satisfied at the end of a meal to where I end up snacking and grazing all day. So I think that that's hugely important. Are you tracking your food? Do you use an app? Whatever the case may be. Some people like a paper and pencil. That's a lot for me. I just like an app. But there's so many apps out there. I say track it, weigh it, measure it, make sure that you're getting your protein, a nice good vegetable, and a little bit of a starch or a carb if you feel like you need it. And that's the order you eat it in. Your protein first, then your vegetable. Then if you're still hungry or you have some room, have your couple bites of your potato or whatever it is. And then
Rachel, too, I wanted to just say too, I know Katie mentioned back there before, a little while back, she said, I asked for a little plate at the last dinner party. It looked like I had a full plate. So I wanted to mention that because I think portion size, portions are important and the plate size is
yes.
important. Actually, we're doing a live event coming up December 22nd with Amanda Clark, who's created the Portion Perfection plates. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of that, but kind of type it in the comments here, Portion Perfection. And I think that is what you're talking about. So like if people aren't, some people are really good at tracking. What I do is kind of like what you said. Whenever I feel myself starting to get off track, I go back to tracking because
Yeah.
it makes you more mindful.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's hard for you to be able to do that consistently, the plate method, which is what you're
Yes.
talking about, half your plate as a protein and then quarter of vegetable. You could even do more than a quarter of vegetable, but
Yes.
and a quarter of your starch is a great way to not have to really sit there and think about calories or an
Yes.
app. But an app is great too because that actually makes you even more mindful and knowing what you're
Yes.
doing.
Yeah. I use the Berrytastic app because it's very specific to a bariatric patient where it shows your macros and all that. I don't focus on the macros. I'm just like, did I hit my protein? Did I get my water? Did I have some veggies in there? Can we call today a success? And if I can check off that protein and water, I am thrilled to death. Um, Even if I did have a cookie somewhere in there, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I think is huge is the drinking before and after your meal. I know most people are
Hmm.
told do not drink 30 to 15 minutes before you eat. Do not drink 30 minutes after you eat. And if you've never seen somebody hold up the funnel and put yogurt or applesauce in it and then dump the water into it, just find that video because it
Yeah.
opens your eyes to what really happens. And if you sit there and you're eating, chicken. I had a Real Good Foods chicken for lunch today. Okay. So I sat there and I ate that. If I'm not waiting the 30 minutes and I start drinking my afternoon coffee or my water or whatever, I'm just washing it
Hmm.
right out. Guess what? I'm going to be hungry as soon as I turn around because I just flushed it right on through. So I think those are the big things. You have to get in your protein, get in your water, measure and weigh as you go, watch when you're drinking, and then obviously take your supplements and your vitamins for from here to eternity. And I know that some people are like, "Oh my gosh, there's so many to take." No, that's why you get ProCare because it makes it so easy. Oh my goodness. Don't go to
Well, and
Walmart and
it's
buy 73 things.
I think just, I mean, even if people, I mean, I obviously ProCare is our sponsor, so we're saying good things about them. But even if you can't take like that, taking something that's a good quality vitamin is so
Yeah.
important, to make sure you're getting all of those things. So, you know, I think all the things that you're saying here with mindset and methods, I think are all great because it's about being more intentional about how you spend your time and your energy. I know sleep is important,
Mm-hmm.
self-care,
Movement.
prayer, whether it be prayer,
Mm-hmm.
meditation, spa. I had a massage this week, by the way. I
Yes,
actually had two
girl.
massages in the last 2 weeks because we went to
Look at you.
Colorado. I know. We went to Colorado last week and almost anytime I travel, I always love going to a spa. So I went there.
Yeah.
Then I got back and I already had one scheduled. I'm like, hey, how much better can
Well,
this
might
get?
as
But
well. Yeah. Well, and like self care doesn't have to be a massage. I just got a pedicure Saturday. That's a self care for me. But it can
Mhm.
be here's what I did yesterday. I changed my airwick thing in the wall. I just put a new, and girl, I was sitting here yesterday and I'm like, like it just changed my whole day. And I'm even today, as soon as I woke up and walked out of my bedroom, I was like, oh, it smells lovely in here. And it just sets me up for joy. So it's just the little things. It doesn't have to be, something big and crazy and an hour-long service, even though we all need it. Every one of us needs it. All of you should get one for
Mhm.
Christmas. But it can be something little. It can be snuggling on the couch when I get off work with my dog. It can be changing out the scent in my airwick. That is, that
I
was
love
brings too
that.
much joy. I have houseplants, just watching them, or not watching them, that'd be boring. But like tending to them. And the spring and summer I do flowers, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a spa service, but those are
You
helpful
know,
for sure.
you're absolutely right. It reminds me too, during COVID season, I actually plant a lot of flowers too. And I was
Yes.
thinking to myself, oh, I'm kind of sad because no one else is getting to see this and enjoy it. But then I was thinking, you know what? It really doesn't matter because I see them every day and they make
Mhm.
me so happy.
Yeah.
And my family, it kind of gives them a little extra boost. I mean, who wouldn't be happy with seeing plants or flowers around and that
Yes.
type of thing? And um, anyways, and I also want to say, Scotty says, I have the portion plate. I love them. She's
Oh
mentioned that
yeah.
too. I kind of going back.
Yeah, I don't have one per se, but I do have a bowl. I know that sounds silly, but it's got the measuring on it, so that was helpful really early on for me. Um, because as you're graduating from a quarter cup per meal to a half a cup a meal to a cup, so that was helpful. Uh, um, yeah, so self-care is important, and then make sure that you have real support people, like I said kind of at the beginning, having a community. Whether if you're not on Instagram, that's fine, but there's a really great community there. This is a really great community, a place that people can come that see each other on a weekly basis. Not there I know there's a lot of people that kind of like aren't ready to publicly share with their friends and family that they had bariatric surgery. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you what, I actually had an interaction with someone yesterday, and she said to me, I was planning to tell people in my one year, but I just didn't. And I'm like, I mean, it's fine. You don't have to, but I want you to know that I didn't hide it and I told anybody that asked, but I didn't like put it out there on my Facebook world because that's a separate world than Instagram. And there was a day that I made a post on Instagram and I accidentally clicked the share to Facebook button and I didn't realize it. And when I saw like 45 minutes later, I logged on to Facebook and I had like 20 something notifications, and I was like, what is happening? What is this? And then I realized what happened. I was mortified and I was in tears, and I said to my husband, I posted that to Facebook. He goes, aren't those the same thing? I'm like, no, they're not the same thing. What are you talking about? They are so different. And I was in tears. I was shaking. And he was like, what are you so upset about? And I was like, what if people want to judge this? What if people have nasty things to say? On Instagram, it's like my little safe community because everybody on
Mm-hmm.
there is in that world that on that account is a bariatric patient. It's my safe little place. And now I put it out there publicly that like somebody from high school can see, and I don't want them to judge me. And my every comment that I got was nothing but positive. I have not had, and I know that this happens to people, and I'm so sorry it happens to people, but I've not had one person be negative or discouraging in any way. There have been times, this is kind of one of the things that sparked this idea too. There have been times in my life um, that are in this journey that I went to tell somebody about my surgery or what my experience or whatever. And I'm like, well, I had bariatric surgery, but I didn't wake up from surgery but 50 pounds less. And I didn't wake up from surgery this way. Like I
Mm-hmm.
still have to put in the work and I still have to do this. And like, I am ready to come at them. And all they were like is, hey, you're looking great. What are you doing? And I'm like, well, actually I have bariatric surgery, blah, blah, blah. And I just like word vomit that to like self-protect and let them know I'm working my butt off for this. Well, they weren't even going to say that. So um, I think that I think it's important to share with the people around us. Even it is scary. It is scary, friends. I know. But I think that you'll be even more surprised by the support that you're going to get. And if somebody is negative about it, then guess what? You don't need them in your life. You don't need them to be a part of that journey. If somebody can't be supportive of you getting healthy, then clearly
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to be good for your mental health. So I would say you'll just have to put up some boundaries there. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. I think surrounding yourself, I mean, you have to be aware that there are those people out there, but I think also surrounding yourself with the people that are supportive. In the beginning, if you don't feel good about sharing first with those people that will be supportive, because until you get comfortable yourself, once you're comfortable yourself, it's kind of a whole different ball
yeah,
game.
yeah,
And I know it looks like Scotty says that too. I still haven't told a lot of people because of fear of judgment. And then she also is talking about using the plates and stuff like
yeah.
that, the little tools. And Ellie says, yes, yes, yes. Um, and it looks like too, we have Whitney joining us on Facebook that says, so proud of you for always being honest in all of your accomplishments.
Oh,
So
thanks,
that's
Wit.
sweet. um, I am going to, let me look here real quick. I'm also going to share here too for those people who want more consistent support, because I think the support is such a big thing. You were talking about having a bestie and a
Yeah.
good person, I call it your person. I'm going to post here our Crowdcast channel for people who want to join in on a consistent basis. If they follow us, they are able to do that. So while you're talking, and I guess the next thing is sharing about finding that freedom, finding
Yeah.
that. And we have about 15 minutes left. So I'm going to let you just go forward.
Yeah.
Tell us about finding, what does that
Go
mean to
forward.
you?
Um,
Yes.
it means a lot of things. I mean, I find victory every day in my faith, and that is my number one area of freedom. And I think that that is one of the reasons I'm able to find freedom in this area so well. Um, but trusting the process, I think trusting the process is huge. If we just if we don't want other people to expect us to wake up and be 100 pounds less, we shouldn't expect that of ourselves, so we need to fight that mental battle. But excuse me, sorry, trusting the process. Like I said, going by what your doctors told you. Don't run out and buy all the products. Don't run out and buy all the things that all the influencers are using, because that's not necessarily part of the process. It's not necessarily part of the program. There's nothing wrong with any of it. It's just trust the process, not the products that people are out there throwing around all over the place. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and remember that perfection is not freedom. That I was on a meetup on Monday night. Um, if you have heard of Berry Nation, they did a virtual meetup on Monday night, and I was like, I got to see what this is all about. And it was so great to be able to talk to people like this, not just watch the story, not just watch their posts, but to interact and just share together. Um, and one of the, excuse me, I'm sorry, I have like a bubble happening here. Y'all know how that is, right? But one of the speakers on there, it was amazing how much the speakers kind of fit in with what I was already planning to talk about. And I was like, oh, that's so good. But don't say it, Rachel, because you don't want people to think you're stealing it. There's one of those mental battles again. But
Mm-hmm.
Michaela was one of the speakers on there. And she said something about, oh, now I can't think of how she worded it. But I said, perfection is not freedom. Um, I think she said inconsistency leads to, and it was just really brilliant. And I wish I could remember it right now, but it's fine. But because I don't want to plagiarize. But she was talking about
Yeah.
consistency leads to freedom. It leads to victory. So being consistent is a way to find freedom from this failure, monkey on your shoulder. Being consistent. So that doesn't mean perfection. That doesn't mean, okay, I only ate 800 calories today, and I did all this, and I didn't allow myself to splurge, and I did perfect, exactly like I'm supposed to. No, it means just be consistent. So that means wake up, have your vitamins, have breakfast, have your protein, hit your goals. And guess what? If you had a cookie, if you had some ice cream, if you had a couple bites of cake, it's all okay, because as a whole, you were very consistent today. Having one thing that is a mistake or an indulgence doesn't mean that your day was a failure. So just not being so focused on the perfection, but focus on being consistent, and you will find freedom in that. And that is a huge thing for me.
Yeah, I love that. I've not heard it said that way before, but I absolutely love that. I don't know if you've read the book called The Slight Edge,
Mm-mm.
but it's a book about all the little tiny things that you do over and over and over, being consistent.
Yeah.
add up to successes, the things that you want to accomplish. So showing up, just basically
Yep.
showing up and just doing, the best you can, over and over and over.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to see results in that. And
Absolutely.
so, and I'm going to post
Absolutely.
too the link to Berry Nation because I think a lot of people could benefit from that as well. They're a
Yeah.
community where they allow people to network. And I'll share that on Facebook too as well while we're kind of talking. I think it's a great, we're going to be doing some things. I was just telling Rachel here right before our call that we're getting ready to pair with them to do some things too, which I'm excited about. It's a
Yeah.
great forum. It's a great community.
Yeah. What I participated in on Monday was part of the free part of it because they have a paid membership and they have some free stuff that they're doing. So if you follow them on any of their social media platforms, you'll see all the free stuff. And that's what I like. I like free things, but it was really great. It was so good that I was like, maybe I need to add this membership to my Christmas list. Like that's how good it was, y'all. So it was real good. Um,
That's wonderful.
yes. Let's see. Um,
So, how
I
about setting boundaries? What do you think about that?
oh, I have had a lot of therapy in the last few years. And I learned
Mhm.
during therapy how to set boundaries. And I was going through therapy well before my bariatric journey started. So I had an excellent foundation on setting boundaries. And I think that they are so important for you mentally, physically, emotionally, and they are hard. Boundaries are hard. But you know what else is hard is having people over with lots of appetizers and desserts and not eating that. And because you've set boundaries that you're going to eat your whatever and you're satisfied and not keep grazing. So I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. But when I'm talking about boundaries, I'm talking about the mental boundaries, the relationship boundaries, the emotional boundaries. Um, because with the food, we already have to set boundaries with food, and that's hard because food is one of those addictions that we need to survive. Um, One of those things you have to eat, you have to nourish your body, you have to fuel yourself. Um, but relationships are what we need kind of to fuel our mental and emotional stability. Um, and sometimes you got to just set those boundaries and either sometimes you have to step away from a relationship. Sometimes you have to just put up, oh, sorry, my earbuds are doing something weird. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Sounds like a man is talking, which is very strange.
Hmm.
Let me just wiggle some wires. Anyway, I think it's gone. um, but sometimes it's a matter of putting up those boundaries. They may just be for a season. You may just need that boundary for a month, 6 weeks, whatever.
Mhm.
I've had to put up boundaries and they are hard. You have to put them up with people that you love that you're not supposed to put up boundaries with. But a toxic person or a toxic situation is toxic no matter what. And so sometimes you have to put up those boundaries to remove yourself from that situation in order to thrive in the other areas of your life. And I think putting up boundaries is a huge thing that we all probably need a lot of therapy about. But
Well,
I
and it's
think it
not
can,
about them. It's about us. It's about
yes,
it's
yes,
really to me, find the boundary thing is about just about being authentic. It's
yes,
about being willing to share your truth and be who you are, regardless of what you think other people might think.
mm-hmm,
It's not about anybody else. Being setting boundaries is just about being you. It's about being the best version of you and not necessarily, especially if you're an empathetic or compassionate kind of person. A lot of times you
yeah,
can feel other people's emotions and what they're feeling, and sometimes we pick up on that and we think it's ours. And then it becomes yours. I mean, it really does. It becomes yours whenever you start thinking that way. So it's about just, you know, being that best version of yourself without
yes,
worrying, like
yes.
taking the worry out.
Yeah. And a lot of us are like, I don't want to be selfish in this situation. And if I'm only thinking about me, that's selfish. No, sometimes all you got to do is think about yourself and how you're going to get through the situation. And if that means removing and setting boundaries, then that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Whew.
And it
Um,
looks like there's, I don't know how you, what you would say to this. It looks like Scotty had said, I have had people told me that I was the easy way out. I'm going to gain all my weight back. And then Rhonda says, looks like they have challenged you. Reach into your competitive self and use your strength and ignore the negative. You can do
yes.
that. And Kathy says, sometimes they're afraid your relationship will change as you change. Help them focus on what is not changing.
Yes.
And what happens is it's fear. People
Yeah.
say things because they're fearful and
Hmm.
they try to like
Yeah.
really get into
They
it.
want you to feel fearful with them. They want you to be nervous and
Mhm.
worried with them. And my grandma is a very worrisome person, and she'll be like, "Oh, well, what are you going to do about this? And what are you going to?" And I'm like, she's wringing her hands all the time, And I'm like, "Grandma, that has nothing to do with me. That has nothing to do with me. It has nothing. I'm not worrying about it. Oh, I wish I could worry about things less. Well, you can. You just say that has nothing to do with me. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Like move on."
And I think sometimes we can get caught up in those things that are passed down to us like that, the
Yes.
genetic, the those things that we see our parents, our grandparents, and things like that doing. And
Yes.
sometimes I catch myself, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm repeating some things that I don't need to
Yeah.
be
My
repeating.
mom is probably watching this, so I can't say, "Oh gosh, I sounded like my mom." Like my mom is wonderful, so it's great to sound like my mom. But sometimes you're just like, "Oh Lord, have mercy."
So true, so true. Um, so we're kind of at the end of time, but I
Yeah.
want to do a couple things here. I want to be able to share. I shared your Instagram,
Oh yeah.
um, where you share your story and your
Yes.
journey on Instagram, and I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that again
Okay.
because I feel like it's important. So I'm doing that
Yes.
so they
Rachel
can
bypassed to gain. There's some
um
underscores in there.
yeah, so they can follow that after this. They can find you and be able to know more about your journey. And then
Yes.
tell us, is there anything else that you're doing that you're interested in sharing with them that they can
Um,
find you?
I mean, that's really all I'm doing. This is my first ever speaking engagement, so this is maybe the last as well. But no, I have a very small presence on Instagram in comparison to the world, but I am an open book. I try and be as genuine as and authentic as possible. And I would love to interact with anybody who is on there and wants to find me. Please do so, because I just love getting that support out there. Um, Going forward for me, it's just kind of keep working on these goals and continue to lose a little bit of weight here and there. I have no timeline for myself anymore. And then probably the most exciting thing for me is my husband and I have struggled with infertility for about 10 years now. And we're at a place that we're going to start trying again, which is really exciting. So if that's also why I'm bypassed to gain, because the hope is to gain a family out of this. So you can keep watching on my Instagram, and hopefully we'll see some things changing there soon.
Oh, that's so exciting. That gives me chills. I have a good feeling about that for you, Rachel,
Thank
that
you.
there's some really exciting things coming for you.
Thank
In
you.
whatever way that looks like, we just never know what plans God has in store for us. We
That's
just
right.
never know,
That's right.
it could be whatever way. So thank you so much. And I also want to just say thank you to our sponsor, which brought us all here together, ProCare Health.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, I'm going to share my screen on a couple different ways here. First of all, while we're still going here, first of all, I'm gonna share um, in a moment here. I'm gonna show you. Um, Rachel's page on Instagram so that you guys can
Oh
see what
yeah, I
that
was
looks
gonna
like.
do that. I'm sorry, I forgot.
And Rachel, did you have any pictures too that you wanted me to share?
No, no. I mean, I was gonna pull up my page and just show a couple from that, but
Sure, let me do that. Let me do
okay.
that. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and we'll um, show that here real quick. Can you see it? Okay, can you see your
Yeah,
page?
yeah. Oh, you
Okay.
guys see my
Because
coffee from this morning? It was
you
so
can do
good.
it. Oh my God, that looks amazing. That
Yeah.
looks so good.
And don't worry, it
So,
all fit in my numbers. Don't worry. Don't come at me, guys.
of course, hey, there's us right here, this one. So,
Yep.
so basically, yeah. So let me kind of scroll down. You tell me when you want me to stop because I know we have some
Yeah.
before and afters here,
Yeah. There's a
and there
couple.
may be something. I love this picture of you, by the way, here. So good.
Uh,
So,
you
am I
can
getting to some
stop.
before and
Yeah.
afters?
How about that one where I'm wearing the black and then the yellow?
Right here?
Yeah, that one's good.
Okay.
So the one in the black, I was probably not at my heaviest, but I was probably close. But that's from several years ago. I mean, I've struggled with my weight for my whole life, really. I don't. I'm right now. I'm like I said earlier. I got into a pair of 14 jeans, and I was like, I have never been a 14, and I'm like, maybe in middle school I was. I don't remember, but um, I mean, for
Oh,
me, if like the first one is they're both family photos, but the first one, like just the smile, the difference in my smile and my eyes, like the amount of joy. I look uncomfortable in my before pictures, and I didn't think I was uncomfortable. But then
mhm.
I look at and I'm like, holy moly, like my whole the glow. They say you glow up, girl. And so yeah, that
Yeah.
that's my handsome husband. Look at him, isn't he
Oh,
the
I love
cutest?
that. I
Um,
love that.
yeah, I love him.
Oh, here's another one. This is really good. I don't know if this is more after probably.
Yeah. So before we went apple picking, and that was like 2 years ago, that was probably very much at my heaviest. I was teetering at 400 pounds. Like I was kissing it. If I never hit it, it's only because I didn't step on the scale that day, I think. And then the one on the right is a full length image of me um, just rocking a new shirt that I got and feeling confident and just see, I mean, you just see in my neck and in my face, and it's
Well, your
crazy.
smile, your smile there
Yes.
says a lot.
And
You
I've
know,
always been a
here's another
smiler,
one.
but it just blows my mind that you can see how my smile in the before um, looks forced. It very much looks forced. I look uncomfortable. I
Hmm.
can see in my eyes that I'm like, Lord have mercy, I don't want to take this picture. And then in the afters, I'm like, look at me, woo!
Whoop
Or,
whoop.
and maybe saying before and after isn't a good thing to say, but like before and during, before and now,
Yeah.
This one on the left here in that before picture, I was standing with a group, and I remember taking this picture, and I thought if I stand at the end, maybe I can like lean a little and like make it look. Lord have mercy, what was I thinking? Oh
We've
no,
all been there. We've
I
all done that,
know,
including
I
myself, or stand
know.
behind someone um or find, find a
Yeah,
place where you're kind of like hidden. I love this
yes,
picture here. That's so pretty.
thank you.
But I mean, there's a lot here. And you share, I love how you're sharing your overall, just the overall journey. Oh, I like this too.
Yeah, I don't just share 100% about weight loss. I share about my faith because Jesus is number one for me. But I'm not trying to push it out there. I just will share verses or some encouragement. The one here on the right side, um, if you go back up a little, where I'm wearing the black
Sure.
shirt, and then I got that little, I'm like
Right
holding a
here?
box. Yeah, that one I was 17 in that picture on the left, and going. That was when I moved into college. I had just turned 18, and then that one,
Oh,
and I'm like, I'm the same size as I was when I was
oh.
a little
And that's
girl.
cool when you can fit
Yeah,
into your high school clothes. I can remember, this is the funny thing, Rachel. I don't know if you ever did this, but I've talked to other people that have said the same thing. It's like I remember in high school always thinking I was like one of the bigger people and I hated my size and blah blah blah. Well, hell, I was thin back then. I
Yeah.
mean, I was really thin, and I'm thinking, what was I thinking? But it was comparative. I was comparing myself to those people in my class, to those people who were my best friends,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
It's crazy, the
It
type of
is.
thing. So
Yes.
thank you so much for being here, being willing. And I'm going to also share, you guys are going to see me punch in ProCare. I just want to show everybody our sponsors page. It's www.procarenow.com. I'll copy that so that you guys can see that. And basically ProCare Health is known for their prices. They're
Yes.
probably one of the lowest on the market, and their quality products. Their products are very easy, like Rachel said. It's a one-a-day multivitamin that we offer. If you've not tried us, there's a little button here on the website that says free sample, and you can
Yes.
click
Get
that
those samples.
and get samples. And I also want to say here, Rachael is an affiliate of ours. She's recently, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and kind of
Oh,
go back here. Um, she's recently, um, she's recently joined our team as an affiliate. Rachael, tell us your code because I'm going to type it in here to the chat.
it is just Rach, RACH, and the number 10, and
Okay.
it will save you 10%. Um, and I suggest for everyone to go and buy your dark chocolate calcium bars because there will be a day that they disappear for a couple months because it gets hot and they can't ship. If you live, I think Rhonda said she lived in Florida. Um, I'm sorry if you get melty chocolate bars, but they're so good. Y'all need all the
That
chocolate
is
bars.
like one of the favorites. The the
Yes.
the calcium chocolate bars. I'll show those real quick because I think they were on the little bulletin kind of going across the screen when we first showed products.
Yes.
Let me go
It's
here
like the
back to the
first
main
thing that's
page.
up there.
Yes, this
Yes.
is our calcium dark chocolate. They are to die for. And I'm sorry
I
about all the
think
little pop-ups.
I think I have 4 or 5 bags right now. And I'll like every time I place an order, I just throw them on the order and I buy the 90, the 90
Yeah.
supply because I don't want to get to where I don't have them again. But here's the thing, because I live so close to the ProCare headquarters, if I run out, I can go buy them right there.
I'm sorry about all these notification pop-ups. I don't know how to turn that off. Yes, you're right. If you go under products and they're under calcium, but that's our calcium
Yes.
dark chocolates. There are 500 IU of calcium and 500 IU of vitamin D, which is so important this time of year because
They
you get
also
the
have
vitamin D
one
from the
protein.
sun. Have
Did you?
what?
They have a gram of protein in them.
Yes, you can't beat
I
that.
mean, there is no other chocolate bar on the market that you're going to get protein, one whole gram of protein from that little thing. Come
Right
on now.
here. Yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna
Yes.
make that smaller there. Yeah. Absolutely. And you can buy a 30 count bag or a 90
Yeah.
count bag,
Yeah.
depending on how much you want. So the
You
30
want all of
count, the
them.
90 is 59, the 30 is it's not popping up here. Sorry about that, guys.
23.
23.99.
Mhm.
So you got a couple options there. But no, I'm stopping to share my screen there, so it kind of okay, I'm back here. Can you see me back on the screen,
Yeah. Yeah.
Rachel? Okay. So I think that's all I have. Does anybody else have anything that they wanted to add? It looks like we have Whitney says if you live close enough, then you can go to the store and pick up. And
Yeah.
yes, absolutely. You definitely can do that. Rachel, I think you do that, don't you?
I haven't. I intend to though, but I think one day when you and I were talking, I was like, I'm gonna come in and see everyone. You're like, we're not always there. And I'm like, well, I need to go on the day that you guys are having your little workout crew program or something, so I can see everyone.
Yeah. Well, I think we're having our Christmas party on the 22nd. So our whole team will be there on the 22nd in the afternoon. We've been working with a health coach. Her name is Amy Posados. We've done some lives with her, and we're doing a fitness workout that day, and then we're having a little Christmas party. So we'll be
Oh,
there later in the afternoon. And I think I mean, it's all I have. It's
yeah,
been so glorious talking to you. And it looks like Rhonda says, I love, love, love. I guess she's talking about the chocolate.
calcium.
And
Yeah.
Ellie says they are the bomb. And so,
Oh,
yes, go get your save with Rachel's code,
yeah,
Rach10
Rach
for
10.
10% off on your next order. And so, looks
Thanks,
like
Cal.
Ellie says so proud of you.
Love you, girl.
So I think that's all I have. I guess we'll kind of end here, and I want to thank you so much for everything. And I'll be reaching out to you, Rachel, here in just a few minutes. So be aware of that. And
Okay.
to everybody else, we want to say goodbye and have
Yes,
a
thank you all
wonderful
for
week.
joining.
Yes, we loved it. We loved it. So bye,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.